How's the first day of pads?
It's good. You gotta get used to it again. You know, you run around all OTAs, all mini camp, and it's just helmets, and then you put those on, the shoulder pads on, you put the pants on, and it's a little bit of an adjustment. Greg and I were talking that you got to get used to having them on again, and but that's what this time's for, and moving forward we'll get more used to them.
Luke, I think there's a lot of anticipation in the Carolinas about the first time you go head-to-head against Christian McCaffrey. What's your scouting report of him? He's quick. He's got shake. He's fast. He got me today on one run, but luckily Thomas was right next to me. But he's fast. He's quick. The way he runs, you can tell that he's done it a few times. He's very precise with his movements. He's in and out of breaks quick. He does a good job, and I think he's going to be somebody that can help us out.
What's it like when you're faced him in the open field, though, and he's setting you up with that? Here's a move. What's that like for you?
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. You hope that somebody's by him and Fozzie and Curtis Samuel's like that too. Guys that are shifty, and you got to make sure that you're playing with good leverage, and hopefully some other guys on the team are running to help you out. But those guys are good in the open field, and they present problems for guys on defense.
Luke, Cam said yesterday that you are now on his to-do list of trash talking every day. And he said you gave it back so well, and that people, it wasn't the Captain America type language that people are used to. Tell us, is that true?
I just can't hang Thomas out I got to help Thomas out sometimes. So it's a good back and forth. Thomas and Cam have a little bit higher level of trash talking than I do, but Thomas doesn't need a whole lot of help, but sometimes you got to get in there and reinforce something that Thomas has said. So my skill level at that is not very good. I kind of just I just try to run around and play, and then every once in a while when something's easy, I'll throw a jab in.
Luke, little scouting report early on Ben Boulware, and also he mentioned that he's pestered you a bunch, and Coach Rivera said earlier today that he called him annoying in a good way.
No, he asked good questions, and I remember when I first got here, I asked Beast and Thomas, and Jordan Sen was another linebacker that when I first got here, I asked those guys a million questions on the field, off the field, about how to play this coverage, how to fit the run this way, and he asks, and now Ben's kind of the same way. He asks good questions, he asks smart questions, he asks questions that let you know that he's thinking and understanding and processing what's going on, and I think he's smart. I think he really does a good job understanding the defense, and I think his time to shine is when the pads go on, because some guys are athletes and some guys are football players, and some guys, I think he's a football player, and he's better at when the pads are on and it's a live period and you're hitting and you're running, you're getting off blocks. I think that's his game. So I think he's going to have a good opportunity here in the next few weeks to kind of show what he's got.
Are there some rookies that come off as thirstier for knowledge than others, and would he fit that bill?
He just asks good questions, and I can speak for kind of more for our room, because that's where the questions come in more towards me as from guys in our room. But Zeke asks good questions, and Ben asks a ton of questions, and that's one thing that you like to hear, is a guy that wants to learn, and then you'll tell Ben one thing and then you'll see him do it. And that's what's cool, is guys that take what they're told and put it on the field. And Al Holcomb, our linebacker coach, does a good job of making adjustments and making sure that guys understand how to do things in their way. One person might understand it this way, somebody else might understand it that way, and Al's does a good job of mixing and matching based on who his guy is.
Luke, you mentioned getting used to the pads again. I'm wondering if, after missing the last part of the season, if this was kind of a day you've been looking forward to kind of feel like you're really getting back in.
I wasn't looking forward to it. I was looking forward to training camp and the practices and stuff like that. But I never really had this day circled as far as, all right, the shoulder pads are going to go on and we're going to have contact again. I've never really had that day circled. It's just, it's an acclimatization period of, or now we're in the heat and now practices are longer and the next step is into the pads. And, I think everybody's just got to get used to them again.
What does it mean to the team and to the defense having Peppers and Captain back?
Oh, it's great. Those guys are – you look at Julius Peppers, he's a he's a Hall of Famer. He played for a long time. He's Julius Peppers, and I think that's what he brings. Obviously, he can still play a lot, but he's Julius Peppers, and I think that's just kind of cool. I grew up watching him. I remember when he was in Chicago when he played them my rookie year. I'd never met him. I'd never seen him. I wanted to make sure that I walked by him, so to see how big he was, and so I got a chance to do that. Now he's on our team, which is really cool, and I got to play with Cap my first 2 years, and he's a fun guy to have out there. He's physical. He's got an edge to him, and then those two guys are gonna be good for us. I like having both back. I like having Captain back because I liked playing with him the first 2 years when I was here, and then obviously having Julius back just adds kind of that. I don't know, it's Julius Peppers, so I think it's kind of cool.
What's the challenge like when they're shifting McCaffrey all over the place and you don't know what he's going to be doing?
Well, he's a running back, but he can also run routes. I think he's got a route tree, so he can run a slant, he can run a 7, he can run all kinds of different routes, and I think when you have a running back that can do that, it poses problems. So when they motion him out wide, he's got a route tree that he can run versus some other running backs where they're going to either run a slant, a go, or like a sit. He's got different routes he can run. You got to know where he is, and for us as linebackers, you got to make sure you're good because when he gets in space, it's different than him coming out of the backfield. Because when he's in space, he's got the whole field, so you got to make sure your leverage is good. Got to make sure you know where your help is, but they've done a good job of putting him in different areas on the field and letting him kind of do his thing.
Are you having to communicate more because you're always having to
Not. I don't think we have to communicate more. I just think you got to understand who's in front of you because all those adjustments are the same. Whether it's Fozzie, whether it's Christian, whether it's Stu, whether it's Cameron Artis-Payne, whether it's Scoot. It doesn't really matter who it is. The adjustments are the same. You just kind of have to understand your personnel that's in front of you.
Well, you guys have one of the better coverage linebacker units in the league. So how does this not only help Christian develop as that weapon, but also help you guys develop against a player like Christian?
Well, I think it's good for us. I think he has a skill set that's unique, and he can run routes. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run in between the tackles. He's quick. And I think we have some guys that we play during the season that are kind of like that. I think Devontae Freeman's like that in Atlanta. I think he's really good. I think practicing against Christian should help us with that a little bit. New Orleans always has guys like that are problem guys out of the backfield that they split out or move them around or put them in a position that we got to make sure we know what we're doing. So it's it all kind of depends on. And Tampa's got the guy. He missed some time last year, Sims. He's like the same kind of dude. Quick, shifty, can run routes. You got to know where he is.
Look, you're talking about Pep and Cap, and some of the guys have brought in a lot of veteran guys here, and it's not typically what this organization's done. Usually build through the draft, and they did, draft a bunch of guys. Is there a sense that this organization is kind of going for it this year? That this is the year to do it, maybe before the window closes?
You bring in Pep and Cap, and then Mike Adams is another guy. I think what helps you as a team is if you have good young guys and then you have some older guys that can kind of help with leadership and understanding of football and kind of a calming presence and guys that have been around and done it. And then once you mix those guys with younger guys, I think it's a good mix. And bringing Pep back, he's a good, great vet to have around. I think Captain's the same way. And Mike, and that room was very young last year in the DB room. And Kurt did a really good job of being that older guy in that room, and he helped those guys out tremendously. And you add two more older guys in there, and Mike and Cap. I just think it helps. And we got some young guys, James and Daryl and Zach, that I think those two edge guys are really good, and Zach's playing well. And when you can mix, like I said, those two young guys on the outside, and you have Kurt and Mike and Cap in the slot, I think that mixture together kind of just helps everything.
Luke, what concerns do you have with what's happened the last couple of years with you with the concussions about going into this season?
I'm not worried about it. We've addressed that, in the off season and now, and it's not a concern of mine. I only think about it when it gets brought up. So it's not going to be an issue. Our guys do a great job of making sure everybody's good to go. So, I'm excited to get ready for the season, and we just hope we don't have any more.
Cam said he was nervous because he's getting back in there after the shoulder. I just wondered if you felt any anxiety or anything actually getting back out.
Anxiety would have been in OTAs when I was practicing again, or maybe the anxiety would have been at the end of the season, last 3 weeks when I got cleared, but there wasn't any. I don't anticipate any, and I'm not too concerned about it.
Despite losing Ted, is there a noticeable instant difference that you can tell on the other side of the ball as far as speed with McCaffrey, Samuel, Shepard, and Graham?
There's some fast guys out there. I don't know if obviously Christian's fast and Curtis is fast, and but there's some dudes that can roll. That are fast. Like you watch tape and you're like, there's just dudes just flying. There's tons of them, and I think that's good for us. And speed creates space, it creates problems, it scares people. When you have a guy that can really run, you got to take him into account. And we've got a couple guys that are just fast, and that helps everyone else out. And it's fun to see that they're on our team, but it's also kind of scary when you play against them every day that this dude they can fly, and that's good for us.
Luke, Marty drafted you, and then you signed a big contract extension with Beggs. So what were your thoughts about what happened last week?
It's one of those situations. Mr. Gettleman came in and did a really good job. He helped us get to the Super Bowl, and you guys know how this business works. Sometimes decisions are made, and people move in different directions. But the good thing for us is that, even though Mr. Gettleman left, Marty's back, and he's a familiar face, not only with the team, but with also guys on the team and people upstairs and downstairs, all throughout the facility, and even in Charlotte, everybody still kind of knows Marty. And Marty's got a bunch of guys in this team that either he drafted or brought in or just knows. And I think that's something that's good for us. Obviously, a week before the season, it could have been a big issue, but bringing in Marty kind of calms the waters. People are familiar with him. Marty understands our personnel because he's still in Charlotte, and I think we're in a good spot.
Luke, what are your thoughts when you see people outside the building picking you guys to go 7-9 and last in the South? How do you absorb that, and do you use it as fuel at all?
I think obviously last year didn't go as we planned, and Atlanta played obviously really well last year, and it's just one of those situations where you're your record until you prove it otherwise. And last year we weren't great. We had some close games that we weren't able to win. But I think having a couple guys back, another year under their belt, the two corners, I think have really moved in the right direction. We had some good pieces on offense. We got some good guys back on defense, and I think if we can stay healthy and we can move things in the right direction, I think we're gonna be a lot better than that.
Are you expecting a big bounce back year from Cam?
Cam's a competitor, and I know last year wasn't how he wanted it to go, and I guarantee you one thing: he wasn't happy with last year, and he's gonna do everything he can to be better. So I think he's gonna have a good year. I think we're gonna have a good year, and hopefully things go our way. We stay healthy and we make some noise.
Luke, you mentioned those last 3 games when you were cleared, and you were cleared but had to watch. I'm wondering if that time gave you an added maybe appreciation for kind of what you have now and make you affected in any way kind of moving forward.
I think obviously when you can't play because you're hurt or whatever. I think that's different than being cleared, kind of like you said, and being cleared but you're not able to play. And I think it just kind of makes you realize how much you like playing and you enjoy the game and you miss it. And so I think obviously I was bummed that I couldn't play and stuff like that, but at the same time it kind of gives you a different perspective on how much you miss it, how much you enjoy playing. And things get hard sometimes, but it makes you realize that the hard times are worth it because I just love playing football.
You always share with us things you want to improve on from year to year. What would that be this year?
I think I can always improve pass coverage. I think that's one thing that, I did some good things in pass coverage last year, but I also left some stuff on the field. And that's one thing that I can really improve on. If I can play tighter in certain spaces and certain situations, I think it allows the pass rush to really work. and that's something that I'm consciously working on, whether it's leverage or knowing where there's help or taking a one way away from a guy or something like that. I got to do a better job in certain situations in the passing game to not only help the rush, but to help the other guys as well.
I think it'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the study that came out on CTE about 110 out of 111 players showed signs of that. What was your reaction to that?
Honestly, I didn't read it. I've been busy with stuff around here, but I think everybody understands in football there's a knowledge of risk, and you decide to play because you like to play, and that's kind of where that is. And I've kind of addressed the whole head concussion deal in the past, and for me, I've moved on from it. I understand what's going on, but I'm gonna keep playing football. Our guys Ryan Vermillion and Dr. Heyer do a good job of doing everything they can to make sure that guys are good and healthy, and they take steps when they need to make sure guys are healthy. And I think over the past few years, our team's done a very good job of taking care of that. And with Cam and different guys on our team, it doesn't matter who you are. If there's something wrong, you're not going to play. And I think that's one thing that I appreciate about this organization is they care about the player as a person, I think, first, and make sure that they're healthy and not put themselves at any more risk. So, I'm kind of, I've moved on, I've talked about it, and, it is what it is.